The Republican Canton of Neuchâtel is a canton of French-speaking Western Switzerland. In 2007, its population was 169,782, of whom 39,654 were foreigners. The capital is Neuchâtel. History: the only part of present-day Switzerland to enter the Confederation as a principality, Neuchâtel has a unique history. Its first recorded ruler, Rudolf III of Burgundy, mentioned Neuchâtel in his will in 1032. The dynasty of Count Ulrich von Fennis took over the town and its territories in 1034. The dynasty prospered and, by 1373, all the lands now part of the canton belonged to the count. In 1405, the cities of Bern and Neuchâtel entered a union. The lands of Neuchâtel had passed to the lords of Freiburg in the late 14th century as inheritance from the childless Elizabeth, Countess of Neuchâtel, to her nephews, and then in 1458 to Margraves of Sausenberg who belonged to the House of Baden. Their heiress Jeanne de Rotherland and her husband, the Duke of Longueville, inherited it in 1504, after which the French House of Orléans-Longueville, Neuchâtel's Swiss allies, then occupied it from 1512 to 1529 before returning it to its widowed Countess Jeanne de Hochberg, Chatelaine of Rotherland, Dowager Duchess of Longueville. The French preacher Guillaume Farel brought the teachings of the Protestant Reformation to the area in 1530. When the House of Orléans-Longueville became extinct with Marie d'Orléans-Longueville's death in 1707, the Principality of Neuchâtel somehow passed to the Protestant King Frederick I in Prussia of the Berlin-based Hohenzollern dynasty, who then ruled Neuchâtel in personal union. However, after 1707, the rightful heiress in primogeniture from Jeanne de Rotherland was the Catholic Paul de Gondi, Duchess of Retz. The people of Neuchâtel chose Princess Marie's successor from among 15 claimants. They wanted the new prince first and foremost to be a Protestant, and also to be strong enough to protect the territory but based far enough away to leave them to their own devices. Louis XIV actively promoted the many French pretenders to the title, but the Neuchâtelois people in the final decision in 1708 passed them over in favor of King Frederick I of Prussia, who claimed his entitlement in a rather complicated fashion through the House of Orange and Nassau, who were not even descended from Jeanne de Rotherland. Napoleon Bonaparte deposed King Frederick William III of Prussia as Prince of Neuchâtel and appointed instead his Chief of Staff Louis Alexandre Berthier. Starting in 1807, the Principality provided Napoleon's Grande Armée Écoutée with a battalion of Rangers. The Rangers were nicknamed Canaris because of the yellow uniforms. After the Liberation Wars, the Principality was restored to Frederick William III in 1814. The Conseil d'État addressed him in May 1814 requesting the permission to establish a special battalion, a bataillon de chasseurs, for the service of His Majesty. Frederick William III then established by his most supreme cabinet order, issued in Paris on the 19th of May 1814, the Bataillon des Tirailleurs de la Garde, following the same principles as with the Neuchâtel battalion within the Grande Armée Écoutée. The Conseil d'État of Neuchâtel had the right of nomination for the battalion's officers. The commander was the battalion's only officer chosen by the monarch. A year later he agreed to allow the Principality to join the Swiss Confederation, then not yet an integrated federation, but a confederacy, as a full member. Thus Neuchâtel became the first and only monarchy to join the otherwise entirely republican Swiss cantons. This situation changed in 1848 when a peaceful revolution took place and established a republic. in the same year that the modern Swiss Confederation was transformed into a federation. King Frederick William IV of Prussia did not give in immediately, and several attempts at counter-revolution took place, culminating in the Neuchâtel crisis of 1856–57. In 1857, Frederick William renounced his claims on the area. In those days, the heir in primogeniture from Jean de Rothelin was the reigning Prince of Monaco, Florestan, Duke of Est-Hauteville. Today, the primogeniture heir is Patrick Guinness. Geography. The canton of Neuchâtel is located in Romandy, the western part of Switzerland. It is also located in the Jura mountainous region. To its northeast it borders the canton of Bern. To the northwest, France. Lake Neuchâtel lies southeast of the canton, while the canton of Vaud is southwest of the canton of Neuchâtel. The canton lies in the central area of the Jura Mountains. Lake Neuchâtel drains the lands in the south, whilst the river Doubs drains the northern areas. The canton is commonly divided into three regions. The viticultural region is located along the lake. Its name derives from the many vineyards found there. The region called Les Valais lies further north. The two largest valleys of the canton of Neuchâtel lie in this region, the Ruz Valley and the Val de Travers. Both valleys lie at about 700 meters. The highest region of the canton, however, is the Neuchâteloise Mountains at 900 meters to 1,065 meters. This region is made up of a long valley home to Le Chaux-de-Fonds, Le Locle and Le Brévin. Government. Neuchâtel was one of the first cantons in Switzerland to grant women the right to vote, and also to grant the vote to foreigners holding a residence permit and who have been domiciled in the canton for at least 5 years, as well as to lower the voting age to 18. The legislature, the Grand Council of Neuchâtel, has 115 seats distributed in proportion to the population of the 6 districts that make up the electoral constituencies: Neuchâtel, Boudry, Val de Travers, Val de Ruz, Le Locle, Le Chaux-de-Fonds. The State Council, 5 ministers who assume the annual presidency in turn and manage the departments of justice, health and safety, finance and social welfare, public economy, regional management, education and culture. The cantonal authorities, which have their seat in the castle, are elected every 4 years by universal suffrage. The people also elect the representatives to the federal parliament every 4 years. 5 of the 200 members of the National Council and 2 of the 46 members of the Council of States. Politics. Federal election results: FDP before 2009. FDP B** indicates that the party was not on the ballot in this canton. C part of the FDP for this election. Political subdivisions. Districts. The canton is divided into 6 districts: Boudry with capital Boudry, Le Chaux-de-Fonds with capital Le Chaux-de-Fonds, Le Locle with capital Le Locle, Neuchâtel with capital Neuchâtel, Val de Ruz with capital Cernier, Val de Travers with capital Val de Travers. Municipalities. There are 53 municipalities in the canton. Demographics. The population is almost entirely French-speaking. The canton has historically been strongly Protestant, but in recent decades it has received an influx of Roman Catholic arrivals, notably from Portugal and Italy. In 2000, its population was closely split between Protestants and Roman Catholics. The 177,327 inhabitants are fairly evenly distributed, with many small towns and villages lining the shore of the Lake of Neuchâtel. The average population density is 209 people per square kilometre. Neuchâtel is the canton's capital, while Le Chaux-de-Fonds is the canton's largest settlement. Some 38,000 of the inhabitants, or a little less than a quarter of the population, are of foreign extraction. Economy. The canton is well known for its wines, which are grown along the Lake Neuchâtel shore, and for its absinthe. The Val de Travers is famous as the birthplace of absinthe, which has now been re-legalized both in Switzerland and globally. There are dairy farming and cattle breeding in the valleys, but it is for the breeding of horses that Neuchâtel has a fine reputation. Watchmaking is well established in the canton, with fine mechanics and microchip production being established more recently. Higher educational institutions include École de Gestion de Neuchâtel and the University of Neuchâtel.